The WNBA just made the biggest mistake in league history, and Caitlin Clark is laughing all the way to the bank. What started as a simple Instagram comment has now exposed the entire corrupt system that's been holding back women's basketball for decades. The league thought they could silence their biggest star with a pathetic $200 fine, but instead, they just handed her the perfect ammunition to destroy them from the inside out. Before we dive into this absolute disaster, make sure you hit that like button if you think the WNBA needs to clean house, starting with their commissioner. Your support helps us expose the truth about what's really happening behind closed doors. Here's what went down. During the 2025 playoff run, Caitlin Clark posted 4 simple words on Instagram that sent shockwaves through the entire league office. "Refs couldn't stop us." That's it. 4 words that apparently threatened the very foundation of the WNBA's power structure so much that Commissioner Kathy Engelbert personally signed off on fining the league's most marketable player. But this wasn't just about a fine. This was about sending a message to every player in the league: fall in line or face the consequences. What makes this even more insane is that Clark wasn't even playing when she made the comment. She's been sidelined with an ankle injury since early January 2025, watching from the bench as her Fever teammates battle through the most controversial officiating we've seen in years. The Fever's bench celebration photo that Clark commented on? It came after they overcame not just their opponents, but what many fans are calling the most biased officiating in WNBA playoff history. Multiple phantom calls, ignored flagrant fouls, and technical fouls handed out like candy to Fever players, while their opponents got away with murder on the court. But here's where it gets really interesting. Sophie Cunningham, who recently joined the Fever in a blockbuster trade that nobody saw coming, immediately came to Clark's defense in the most savage way possible. She posted on social media saying she'd start a GoFundMe for Clark's massive financial burden, and then proceeded to expose exactly how the league operates behind closed doors. According to Cunningham, players get monitored on all their social media accounts, and the league has a whole team dedicated to finding any criticism of officiating. She revealed that players have been getting secret warnings about their posts, with threats of escalating fines if they don't delete them within hours. The timing of this fine couldn't be more suspicious. Just days before, the Fever had upset the defending champion Aces in a game where the officiating was so bad that even neutral commentators were calling it out live on air. There were 7 questionable calls in the 4th quarter alone, all going against Indiana. The Fever won anyway, and Clark's comment was celebrating her teammates' resilience. But apparently, acknowledging that your team overcame bad officiating is now a finable offense in the WNBA. What the league doesn't want you to know is that this is part of a much bigger pattern. Since Clark entered the league, she's been targeted more than any other player in WNBA history. The stats are shocking. In 2024 alone, she took more hard fouls than any guard in the past decade. Now in 2025, even while injured, she's still being targeted by the league office. They can't beat her on the court, so they're trying to break her through bureaucracy. The hypocrisy is what really makes your blood boil. While Clark gets fined for a harmless Instagram comment, other players have literally thrown punches on the court with no consequences. Remember when Diamond DeShields got into that altercation with Brittany Griner earlier this month? No fine, no suspension, nothing. But Clark types 4 words on social media, and suddenly it's a federal case. The double standard is so obvious that even casual fans are starting to notice something's seriously wrong with how this league operates. Let me tell you what's really happening here. The old guard of the WNBA is terrified. Clark brought in more viewers in her first 2 seasons than the league had seen in the previous 5 years combined. Attendance is up 400% when the Fever play on the road. Television ratings hit record highs every time she's on screen. And merchandise? Clark jerseys are outselling the next 10 players combined. She's single-handedly transformed women's basketball from a niche sport to mainstream entertainment, and the establishment hates her for it. The $200 fine might seem like nothing, but it's the principle that matters. This is the league telling its biggest star to shut up and dribble. They want Clark to be their puppet, smile for the cameras, bring in the money, but never speak out about the problems plaguing the sport. Well, they picked the wrong person to mess with. Clark's response to the fine was absolutely perfect. She posted the screenshot with laughing emojis and basically told the league to shove it. Her teammates rallied around her, with Aaliyah Boston calling the fine embarrassing for the league, and Kelsey Mitchell saying the officiating has been consistently inconsistent all season. But wait, It gets even better. Sources close to the situation are now revealing that several top sponsors are furious with how the league is treating Clark. Nike, who signed her to the biggest endorsement deal in women's basketball history, reportedly had their executives call the league office demanding an explanation. Gatorade is considering pulling their playoff sponsorship if the league doesn't address the officiating crisis. These companies invested millions in Clark because she represents the future of the sport, and they're not going to sit back while the league sabotages their investment. The real scandal that nobody's talking about? This fine came down the same week that leaked emails showed WNBA officials discussing how to manage Clark's influence on the league. These emails, which the league claims were taken out of context, explicitly mention finding ways to limit her social media reach and reduce her visibility in league marketing. They're literally conspiring against their own meal ticket because she won't play by their outdated rules. Meanwhile, Clark is out here building her own empire. While the league tries to nickel and dime her with these pathetic fines, she just signed a deal with a major streaming platform for a documentary series about her journey. She's launching her own basketball camp for young girls this summer. She's got a signature shoe coming out that's already broken pre-order records. The WNBA needs Clark way more than Clark needs the WNBA, and everyone knows it. The other players are starting to speak up too. Diana Taurasi, who was initially skeptical of Clark, recently said in a podcast that the league's treatment of her is shameful and short-sighted. Sue Bird called out the commissioner directly, saying the officiating problem has been ignored for too long, and fining players for mentioning it is cowardly leadership. Even players who compete against Clark are recognizing that attacking her is attacking the growth of their entire sport. Here's something that'll really make you mad. While all this drama is unfolding, the WNBA is hemorrhaging viewers for non-Clark games. The recent Storm vs. Mercury game drew less than 50,000 viewers. A Clarkless Fever game still pulled in over 300,000. The league is literally fining the one person keeping them relevant, and they're too stubborn or too stupid to realize it. The officiating problem Clark highlighted isn't going away either. Just last night, there were 3 ejections in a single game between the Liberty and the Sky. The refs have completely lost control, and instead of addressing it, the league is shooting the messenger. Players are now afraid to even celebrate on the court because they might get hit with a technical. The game is becoming unwatchable, and Clark had the courage to say what everyone was thinking. But here's the plot twist nobody saw coming. Multiple sources are now confirming that Clark's camp is exploring options for when her current contract expires. There's serious talk about her joining the new rival league that's being formed by former NBA executives. They're offering contracts worth 10 times what the WNBA pays, and they're promising players complete freedom of expression. Imagine if Clark leaves and takes half the fan base with her. The WNBA would collapse overnight. The Fever organization is stuck in the middle of this mess. They want to support their superstar, but they also can't afford to anger the league office. Behind closed doors, team executives are reportedly furious about the fine, but feel powerless to challenge it publicly. They know Clark is their franchise, but they also know the league holds all the cards when it comes to scheduling, officiating assignments, and playoff seeding. What's even more ridiculous is that this whole controversy is overshadowing what should be a celebration of the Fever's incredible playoff run. They're playing their best basketball in years, the team chemistry is off the charts, and they're proving all the doubters wrong. But instead of highlighting this success story, we're talking about a $200 fine because the league can't handle criticism. The fans are absolutely livid, and rightfully so. Season ticket sales for next year are already being affected. Multiple fan groups are organizing protests outside the league office. There's even talk of a boycott if the league doesn't apologize to Clark and address the officiating crisis. The hashtag #FreeCaitlin has been trending for 3 days straight, and the league's social media accounts are getting destroyed in the comments. This situation is bigger than just one player or one fine. This is about the soul of women's basketball. Does the league want to embrace the new generation of stars who aren't afraid to speak their minds? Or do they want to cling to outdated power structures that keep the sport in the shadows? Clark represents everything the WNBA should be: confident, outspoken, talented, and marketable. The fact that they're trying to silence her shows just how out of touch the current leadership really is. The most ironic part? While the league is wasting time policing Instagram comments, the NBA is over here celebrating players who show personality and speak their minds. LeBron criticizes refs all the time without fines. Draymond Green has made a career out of being controversial. But in the WNBA, you make one joke about officiating and suddenly you're public enemy number one. Clark's injury might actually be a blessing in disguise. It's giving her time to build her brand outside the league's control, and it's showing everyone just how petty and vindictive the WNBA leadership can be. When she comes back, she's going to be more powerful than ever, and the league is going to have to decide whether they want to work with her or against her. The bottom line is this: the WNBA just picked a fight they can't win. They find a player who makes more in endorsements in a month than the fine costs, thinking it would shut her up. Instead, they've created a martyr and unified players, fans, and sponsors against them. Caitlin Clark isn't just the face of women's basketball anymore. She's now the leader of a revolution that's going to transform the sport whether the league likes it or not. If you think the WNBA needs to apologize to Caitlin Clark and fix their officiating problem, smash that subscribe button and leave a comment below. This league needs to hear from the fans, and your voice matters in this fight for the future of women's basketball.